Hi everybody, I hope that you're all doing really well. So today I am back to do a tag, and this is going to be the quarter year crisis reading tag. This was created by Roisin over at Roisin's Reading, and this is basically a tag which takes stock at the quarter point of the year at the end of March to have a little look back on the past 3 months and see basically how you're doing. Have a little check-in with yourself on how your reading is going. There is the mid-year freak-out tag in the middle of the year. There is the end of the year book tag, which people tend to do between September and November time, but there's nothing for these first 3 months and they often get quite neglected, I think. So do join along with me as I try and take stock of my reading over the past 3 months, for better or for worse. Question number 1 is, how many books have you read so far this year? I'm filming this video a few days into April, but I'm going to be answering all of these questions as if it is March the 31st. And so as if it is at that point right now, I can tell you that I have read 38 books in the first 3 months of the year. And I believe that is quite ahead of where I normally have gotten to. I've read quite a bit this year, which I'm quite pleased about. Question number 2 is, have you already found a book that you think might be a 2022 favourite? If not, what was your favourite book that wasn't quite a 5-star? And I would say that I've definitely read some absolutely fantastic books this year, 3 of which have hit the 5-star mark for me, and I can't really choose between them because they are so different, so I'm just going to show them all to you. First off, we have Kindred by Octavia Butler. This was one of the first books that I read at the beginning of the year, and this just absolutely blew me away. I knew that this was going to be good, but I wasn't expecting to love it quite as much as I did. Then during History-a-thon, I read The Language of Food by Annabell Abbs, historical fiction recounting the life of Eliza Acton, the famous cookery writer. And then most recently, on the 30th of March, even, I read You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is just a fun, very fun rom-com. I sped through this in the space of 1 day, and it just made me absolutely delighted. This is everything I love in rom-coms, and I'm still thinking about it, so it has to be one of my favourite books of the year. Question number 3 is, any 1-star books or least favourite book of the year? Now, because of the fact that I have been a little bit more liberal with DNFing books and being a lot more open about DNFing books, I feel like I've been able to figure out quite quickly whether or not I'm disliking a book, so that I don't have to put myself through it if I'm not enjoying it. However, one book did end up getting 1 star from me this year, and the reason for that is because it was a book that started off pretty strong. I thought I was going to really like it, and then a certain character was introduced into the narrative and I hated that character and thought that character just brought the entire book down. I ended up DNFing it originally, and then I went back to it to see if it picked itself back up again, and it didn't. So 1 star it is. And that went to The Intoxicating Mr. Lavelle by Neil Blackmore. Hated the title character, did not like him at all, and I didn't really like how the narrative went. Just a very toxic character, and if the narrative had recognised that he was a toxic character, then I'd have been a lot more forgiving. But no, we're meant to be rooting for this man, and no. No. Like I say, I've had quite a few DNFs at the beginning of this year, but probably the one that I couldn't deal with this book was Only Ever Yours by Louise O'Neill. I'm not going to go into it. I just found it really disturbing to read. Really sad about it because it was the book club pick for the I Should Have Read That book club. So unfortunately, whenever we do that live show, I'm probably not going to have much good to contribute to it. So I'm sorry, guys. Question number 4 is most read genre so far. Gone onto the story graph, and it is telling me that my most read genre so far is a tie between classics and historical fiction. Usually classics is around about my 3rd most read genre, and I think the main reason it is up so high is because I have read books 1 to 6 of Anne of Green Gables. So that's a bit of an anomaly, but you know, like I say, it's usually around about 3 or 4 in terms of my most read genre. Historical fiction does not surprise me at all, and then history, as in history non-fiction, is following just behind that. Something I was quite surprised to see actually is that my non-fiction fiction split is currently at 32% to 68%, 32% non-fiction to 68% fiction, because I actually thought my non-fiction amount was going to be a lot smaller than that. Every single year I am like, at least 1/3 of my reading is going to be non-fiction, if not more, and then I always end up hovering between like 20 and 25%, and I thought that was going to be the same for this year, but I feel like maybe History-a-thon has built up those numbers. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep that up over the year or increase it, but you know, I live and dream. Question number 5 is a book that surprised you, and I have 2 answers for this. First off, Anne of Green Gables definitely surprised me. This is a classic that I have been putting off for so long. In fact, I thought very much that I was never going to read this, much to the chagrin of my friend Rachel, who absolutely loves this book, loves this series. And the main reason that I ended up picking it up was because I found this beautiful edition of it in a charity shop, and I thought, fine, you can take my money and I will try and read this. And I just didn't think I was going to like it because it is such a rurally set book, and I'm not a massive fan of rural settings for books. I much prefer like city or university campus-based novels, but the countryside just doesn't do anything for me, especially when a lot of the narrative is spent like describing the landscape. I'm just like, no, I don't care. I think maybe because I've lived in a very rural area, I'm just like, no, give me city, give me adventure. But I was so quickly charmed by this, mainly because of the characters, as I've said many times before. Anne is just such a delightful character, and if you say anything bad about Anne, I will not be responsible for my actions. She is delightful. End of. And then the other book that I was really surprised that I enjoyed so much was Still Life by Sarah Winman. And the main reason for that is not because I thought this premise wasn't going to appeal to me, but because I have previously read Tin Man by Sarah Winman, and I thought it was a bit overrated. I didn't really like it that much. But I picked this up because it came into paperback and everybody had been raving about how great it was, and I thought, yeah, fine, sure. And then I ended up really loving it. I've spoken more about this in my March wrap up, but yeah, this basically just made me really desperate to go visit Italy. All the characters in here are just wonderful, and yeah, I really liked it. Question number 6 is a book that's come out in 2022 already that you want to read but still haven't yet. And I found this a little bit of a struggle to come up with, but I've gone with two, one fiction, one non-fiction, and the fiction one is The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont. This is historical fiction which recounts the story of Agatha Christie's mysterious disappearance for 10 days, and it's told from the perspective not of Agatha Christie or of her husband, but of her husband's lover, and it's really detailing her experience with Agatha Christie, the relationship that the two women had. And I think the main reason that I haven't picked this up yet is that I'm not really a big crime reader. I'm not a big thriller reader, which I don't know how this kind of sits in that realm, and also because I've only ever read one Agatha Christie book, so I feel a little bit like I'm a fraud reading this book. But it just sounds really interesting, so I want to dip my toes in. And the non-fiction new release that I haven't read yet is The Dark Queens by Shelley Puick. This is non-fiction history, and this details the rivalry between Brunhilde and Fredegund. And kind of predictably, the main reason that I haven't picked this up yet is because earlier medieval history is not my bag, but like Queen history, I love that. I'm hoping that that is going to be a way to get my brain into this history, and it's not going to terrify me, but who knows? Who knows? Question number 7 is one goal you've made that you're succeeding at. I haven't even gone back and looked at my goals video from the beginning of the year because I know that I'm not meeting pretty much all of those. But I will say that my numbers goal, the numbers that I've put on the Storygraph and Goodreads, I said that I wanted to read 30 books. I have read 38 books. Woo! As I said in that video, I always expect that I'm going to read much more than 30 books in a year, but 30 is the number that I put down every single year because that was what I originally put back in 2014 when I was making it my resolution to get back into reading. So as long as I hit 30 every year, I am very happy. If I hit 30, that means that I am confident that I am getting back into reading, that I am not doing quite as badly as I did in 2013, in which I only read 11 books that year. I couldn't even read one a month. Always striving to be a lot better than that. And also prior to my birthday, I was actually doing really well at reducing my TBR. My TBR at the beginning of the year was at 67 books, and just before I went home for my birthday, I managed to get that number down to 39. But then my birthday happened and I treated myself, other people treated me, and now currently, not pretending that it's March the 31st anymore, I am now just going to give you the number that it currently is, April the 6th, which is 62 books. So, you know, in total, my TBR has gone down 5 books since the beginning of the year. Not great, not terrible, but not great. I think it's just because I know that it had been so good and so much lower that I'm like, huh. But also, yay, because I've got some fantastic books and I've been very well spoiled by my friends. So I can't be too miserable about not meeting that goal yet. Question number 8 is one goal that you made that you need to focus on. And basically the answer to that is all of the other ones. I'd said I was going to restart the Penguin Monarch series. I have full intentions of doing that, but have I made any strides to do it? Nope. I said I was going to do individual book reviews more. Have I done that? No. I was going to restart Super Sexy History books. Have I read all 3 books that I want to do for that video? Yes, I have. Have I scripted anything for it? No. I think one of the things I said was that I was going to vlog less, and actually I have just started vlogging again, so nope, though I'm not feeling too badly about that one. I'm quite happy to do like weekly vlogs as long as I think that the content is enjoyable and that it's not just like super indulgent as a way for me to fill up space on my channel. So far with what I've done, I don't think it is that, so it's fine. It's fine. Question number 9 is new to you booktubers, bookstagrammers, booktokers for 2022 that you recommend. I definitely need to keep more of a note of new booktubers that I come across. But off the top of my head, probably Nikki from Red Dot Reads. Recently discovered her in the past few weeks and really been enjoying her content. Fran Nook in the Pages. Been watching a lot of her videos recently and really enjoying them. I think technically I could say discovered at the end of the year, probably around Vlogmas, but I don't think Vlogmas counts. Vlogmas is a weird time. We're not doing our normal content around then. And then I really hope I'm not mispronouncing this, but Kia the Scrivener. Really being enjoying those videos. Don't take this as like a proper booktuber recommendations video, because if I was going to be doing one of those, I would go into a lot more detail than I am right now. I'm going to have to mention these and other lovely booktubers more in detail in a future video. So stay tuned for that whenever that happens. But there we go. Those are all of the questions from the quarter year crisis book tag. I'm not quite sure who has already done this, but for now I will tag Leanne over at Leanne Rose, Claire Themby and Shah from Thoroughly Enjoyed Books. I hope you've enjoyed hearing my answers to this tag. Do let me know about any of your answers to these questions down in the comments down below. And I would love to know about your favourite book from the first 3 months of the year. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks.